So why are so many companies infusing play into their workplace? Our guest today is Kristi Herold. She is the founder and CEO of Jam, which is a global company that has connected millions of people through play. And they have produced over 4,000 playful corporate events in over 30 countries. She is also the best-selling author of the book, It Pays to Play, which I actually have a copy of, How Play Improves Business Culture. And her vision is to get 1 million people playing annually. And I love that because, quite frankly, we all work way too much and we're all way too serious. And so we need to have some fun. So today we're going to talk about the importance of play and how play impacts retention and engagement and creativity and creates happy customers and all that good stuff. And so it literally pays to play. So Kristi, welcome to the Leaders Transformation. We're glad you're here today.
Thanks so much for having me, Nicole. An interesting sidebar, just today, the day that we are actually recording this is June 11th, and it is the International Day of Play today, being recognized by the United Nations General Assembly because they want to help get opportunity for more children and adults to keep playing because it's important in our lives. And so it's amazing that it's being recognized at such an international high level.
Wow. And I think it's maybe, I don't know if this is you, maybe you can speak to this, but after the pandemic and everybody going home, I think that's when we really realized how disconnected we were in terms of like working hard and sitting, because I hear so many often people like, I'm just at home on my computer and all I do is work, work, work. So maybe we'll talk about that here. But before we do that, I don't want to forget, Alyssa Cohen is the one who introduced us. And so she was a guest in episode 367 talking about startup secrets. And she is amazing. She's one of the top startup coaches in the world. And so shout out to Alyssa. Thank you so much for connecting us because we wouldn't be here without you. So
she is amazing. Alyssa's an absolute rock star. I adore her and totally appreciate her introducing me to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you get a job playing?
How did I get a job playing? So I've looked back on the thread of my life in the last, so I'm in my early 50s, and I looked back about 10 years ago and realized there was a very common thread weaving throughout my life, which is that I seem to have this natural pull towards trying to connect people through playful things. So it all started in high school. I started up a social committee that didn't exist, and I started organizing scavenger hunts and different like whodunit type games to raise money for student council and just to kind of connect people through play and have some fun. And I was kind of for those born in the 70s and on, the Love Boat, Julie McCoy. I've always been the Julie McCoy of all my friends, the social director, the one organizing all the fun, just sort of my natural tendency to do that. And so after university, I knew that I wanted to run my own business. I'd been raised in a really entrepreneurial family, had run a bunch of different businesses throughout high school and university. And I was from a small city and I moved to Toronto, didn't know a lot of people. And I'd heard about these adult recreational sport leagues that were happening in the United States. I'd heard about one in Chicago and another one in San Francisco. And I was like, hey, I could try something like that in Toronto. It's a big city. It would be a great way for me. I was a sporty kid as well, and thought it would be a fun way for me to connect with people. And so in 1996, I started what was initially called the Toronto Sport and Social Club, adult recreational sports leagues, a bunch of different sports. We had 52 teams that very first season, 250 teams that first year. We've since grown. The adult sport leagues will have over 15,000 teams playing this year across a wide variety of sports in 25 different cities in Canada and the US. And fast forward, 10, 15 years, in 2009, I started a community musical theater group, getting adults in my neighborhood on stage to sing and dance and play together on stage to raise money for charity. We've raised over $500,000 for charity, producing a musical every year. And I've been to Africa a couple times for the charity that I helped establish there. All, again, connecting people through play. And then during the pandemic, when we weren't allowed to have our adult rec sports leagues operational in Canada, we lost about 18 months. We had to pivot to survive. What is that saying? That necessity is the mother of invention. And that is when we created these corporate team building events, helping companies connect their people through play. Initially, it was all just virtual events because, as you pointed out, everyone was working from home and feeling lonely and not very connected. Had all these lunch and laughs and happy hours, doing escape rooms and scavenger hunts and game shows all online. And then after the pandemic started to lift, our sports leagues got back up and running again. But we thought, hey, there's actually an opportunity here to do more of these team building events in person, hybrid. And then we actually help consult to companies and help them integrate playful ways into their day to day as well, because there's more than just stopping and having an event. There are ways to connect people playfully with the work we're doing all day long. So it's kind of really just morphed into, I guess it's just me pursuing my passion and my superpower. We all look to what is our superpower, and I think mine truly is connecting people through play. That's what I seem to love doing, and so I guess that's how it all started and where it's all come to.
Well, and it's amazing because even when you say lunch and laugh, a lot of us think of lunch and learns, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to learn? Actually, I had a guest on recently who, because he's a speaker and trainer, he said companies will say to him, hey, we want you to come in and do, a lunch and learn. And he's like, let them eat lunch. Like, can we do this after lunch? And I think there's a shift, like I was saying earlier, there's just this shift happening, and it totally plays into your superpower and what you're doing, because I think people are just tired of working day in, day out. It's boring. You talk about in your book the percentages of disengagement, active disengagement, and all of that, and people who are just like depressed and anxious and all of these things, and we can hit symptoms, and address them with like a Band-Aid therapy. But the reality is people just want to have fun. You ask anybody, like, I just want to have fun. I want to enjoy my life,
Yeah. And that can be a tough sell to a CEO. Well,
Yeah.
like, you might just want to have fun, but we have work to get done. Right. And
Yes.
This is where I go, yeah, but there's actually a lot of benefit. The point in my title, it pays to play. It pays to invest in having fun with your team, because when your team isn't just checked out and just bored doing their work, when they're actually caring and having fun with the people they work with, when they have you've got this cohesive team who cares about each other and has some laughs together, they're far more engaged, they're far more productive, they're far less likely to be looking for another job somewhere else. They're far more likely to be recruiting people to come and work at your organization because it's a great place to work. So productivity goes up and profitability goes up, because when you have happier employees, your customers are naturally happier. You've probably been on the other end of the phone with a grumpy customer service person versus someone who really loves their job and cares about the service they're providing. Like, what a difference that makes, right? You want to go sing from the rooftops about this amazing company you just interacted with, versus someone who is grumpy providing the service. You're like, yeah, I'll never tell anybody to go to you again, and I'm not coming back. So there's just so much power in connecting people, creating friendships inside your organization. And the easiest way to connect people and create friendships is by playing a little bit, having a little fun with the work you're doing. And sort of to your point earlier, it's not necessarily about stopping what you're doing to play. It's actually having fun with the way you work. So we call it a lunch and laugh. We start every one of our internal meetings, we press play to start, meaning we take 3 minutes, whoever's leading the meeting, to just have a playful interaction. You get to know something about someone that you maybe didn't know otherwise. You have a little laugh. It takes 3-5 minutes max. And then you're like, okay, let's go. Let's dig into the meeting. And when we're having our meetings, if it's a bigger meeting, we've got a dodgeball that sits on our boardroom table. That is your cue. If you're holding the dodgeball, it's your turn to speak. Don't hog the mic, get to your point and pass it on, because someone else might want to speak, and then throw that dodgeball across the table to whoever's next. And if you're not holding the dodgeball, it's a physical cue. Don't interrupt. Listen. You're listening to the person. So it's an interesting, very physical, tangible item that actually also provides this playfulness to the meeting, but it's a serious meeting, right? You just happen to have a dodgeball that is the cue to who gets to speak. So, that's all the dodgeballs on the cover of my book. Those are they sort of all the dots on the cover represent that kind of aspect. But anyways, so, there's just so many ways to connect playfully, whether it's calling it a lunch and laugh, whether it's the terms and conditions, how you write those out for all your legalese. We have legal conditions in all of our contracts, but we also have Jam English interpretation, which is this really funny one-line interpretation so that people don't get like bored out of their minds reading the legalese, and they can go, oh, that's what that means. Haha. And it's funny and it's playful, but it gets to the point. The legalese is still there, but you can kind of skim it. It's celebrating great work being done by having shout out channels and core value awards. So you're highlighting great work being done. You don't just have your core value awards written on a wall. You celebrate them constantly. I mean, I could go on for days. Sorry, I keep going on all these tangents, Nicole, but
I get
excited about the subject.
Yeah, well, and it's like you said, it's your passion, right? And I love it. It reminds me of, so you're in Toronto. I'm originally from Toronto, and I worked at this law firm for a number of years that when I first walked in, it was a boutique firm, and it's grown since then. But when it was like maybe 16 lawyers or something. So I walk in the door, and right past the reception desk was this big, beautiful pool table and like library and all of that. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Does anyone ever use that? That was my real question, right? And you talk about it in your book, right? And they said, absolutely, we do. 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, there's always a few of the, of the lawyers that will play. And it was really amazing. One of the things that was memorable about that organization working there was the culture of fun. Work hard, play hard. Man, did they know how to party, right? They like to have fun. But even in the day-to-day, like I remember one time we were doing this like a mass mail out, right? I was in tax litigation, and so we had this mass mail out that had to go out, and it was like just before Christmas. All the normal, the people who would normally help us with that all had to go and do things and commitments and stuff, and so we're like, well, we got to get this done. So I've got I joke, it was like the most expensive mail out, because it's like all these attorneys that like really, high paying attorneys. There's about 5 of us, and we're trying to get this done. 2,000,
stuffing envelopes
and stuff like that. But here's the thing. You couldn't take money out of the trust until it went officially into the mail. And you needed the money out of the trust, because it was in the millions, to pay everybody's Christmas bonuses and all the things, right? Usually so there was some incentive there. But it was so funny and so memorable that one of the lawyers that I worked with, who was so much fun, and he used to like diffuse a stressful situation and tell me he just naturally knew how to do it. Could have been a comedian. He's across from me, and he looks at me, and he's like, he's got his stack, I got mine. He goes, all right, here's your stack, here's my stack, I'll race you. Right. And it was like, we made it fun.
Yeah.
And it was, and I was so fascinating I love human behavior. So I'm watching this happen, and I'm watching the managing partner, using the postage machine back in the day. Right. And she's got her system and everything. And we just had so much fun in that process. And it could have been such drudgery. And I'm sure we got it done faster than if we were just drudging through it.
And I love that is one of your memories from working there. I bet you don't remember all the meetings that were had day in and day out, right? Like these are these moments that people remember. And I talk about that in my book. My friend Jonathan Lister, who worked at LinkedIn, and he had worked as a vice president at LinkedIn for 12 years. And when he was leaving, he shared a post on LinkedIn, and he talked about the 3 things he was most proud of in his time there. And he talked about growing revenues, growing membership numbers. But what he said he was most proud of was helping to build one of the world's best workplace cultures. And the people who do the best at LinkedIn are, he had all these characteristics, but he's like, and they're fun. And he had what struck me from his post, it wasn't actually the post itself. It was all the photos he shared. He shared 7 photos, and they were all pictures of he and his team in silly costumes and clearly having these fun events and having playful moments together. He didn't share pictures of boardroom meetings. Like, no one does that, right? Like, those aren't the moments that stick out to us as really special. So if that's the case, if that's what our memories are being made of, like, And we want people to love where they work. Why aren't we using our pool tables and ping pong tables every day, right? Like, why are they collecting dust? If you have a ping pong table in your office with an inch of dust on it, and it's just there for virtue signaling, like, look how fun we are, but you never actually use it, it's not that much fun. And the one thing I often tell companies when I do my keynotes, I say, look, you've got to, if you've got a corporate event, like you've got sort of a once a year company picnic, that is fantastic. But that doesn't make for great workplace culture. Having your once a year company Christmas party or whatever, where you bring in a big band and you've got, expensive swag, that doesn't make for a fun place to work. What people want is a place where they have fun with their colleagues, with the people they're working with. And how do you make that happen? You find ways to layer play in the day-to-day work throughout the workplace, and you find ways to have little events, monthly socials, and celebrations of great things being done in playful ways. Like, that's where the power is, and it doesn't actually have to cost a lot. Like this, it doesn't need to be a super big investment. It's just about being intentional and starting to sort of layer on little ideas that you can build off of. And we're constantly iterating. I mean, I've been running Jam now for 28 years, and just in October, I introduced, this wouldn't even be in my book. In October, I introduced a house system similar to the Harry Potter houses. Now at Jam, when you join the Jam team, you're drafted to a house. So we have the Cottingham House, the Huron House, the Avenue House, and the Bridgeland House. Those are all the names of streets that our first offices would have been on. And once you're drafted on that house, you're on that house forever. You're part of the house forever. And we have all of our challenges now are sort of house-based. So there's this internal playful competition. We just did a food drive. So we got everyone to bring in their canned goods. We had a social event after our season finals where we built putting holes out of our canned food. One of the houses won, but then we still had all this food to donate, which, so there's so many ways to have fun and get creative and iterate at what works well for your organization, right? Like, and because not everything will work the same for every organization, but every organization can have fun. Like, I love hearing that you worked at a law firm and they knew how to have fun. One of our clients is an accounting firm, and actually we're clients of theirs as well, Henderson Partners. It's an accounting firm. They have so much fun. They do things so well. They have their superhero cape. So at the end of every month, someone wins the Henderson Partners Superhero of the Month, and they get the golden cape, and they take a picture of them and they post it on social media. And it's always for, they got the most superhero shout outs for great things being done throughout the year. But what an amazing little initiative to celebrate their core values in a playful way. It's an accounting firm, right? But they're still having fun with the work they're doing. And so I just think there's not really any excuse to not be having fun. We spend a lot of time in the workplace, and it's a really powerful thing. It will help everyone's organization. If your employees are happier, how can that not help you?
Yeah. Well, if you want their heart to show up, it's that emotional connection, the bonding, and like I love that idea of the houses, where you're on a team. Like, you are on a team that you're on a work team, but you're also on another team, which is that fun play team. That is awesome. Two questions, actually. And the first one, just so I'm telling you both of them so I don't forget. The first one is who in the organization normally is responsible for making sure this happens, number one. Number two, which came up when you were just talking there, is what if people like the cape? What if you get somebody who's like, this is stupid, I don't want to do this? Like, how do you deal with that?
So, okay. Let's talk about this is stupid part. So in terms of the cape, that's like an idea where it's just you're being celebrated for great work being done. And that can be done in a ton of different ways. At Jam, we give out a core value award. So I guess let me back up a little bit. I'm a big believer in these pillars of having a vision, having your mission, your purpose, and having your values. I'm laid out. I mean, we have them up on the wall. We have them on everybody has a mouse pad with the vision and values and everything like laid out on the mouse pad. Our 3-year vision is right there. So I'm a big believer in having that front of center on our website, etc. But if that's all you do, you just have it written down, who cares? Like, how are you bringing it to life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about bringing all that to life. And the only way you can bring your vision, your mission, your purpose, your values all to life is by having a connected, cohesive team doing it. So we have this core value award once a month. A survey is sent out. People nominate anyone from the organization for the core value award. They specify which core value and why. It's like 2 sentences. Our head of people and culture, somebody on our people and culture team creates a presentation. It's a PowerPoint. And each month at our daily huddle, or once a month, at the end of the month, at our daily huddle, I present the core value award and I read out all the nominations. So it takes about 10 minutes because we're growing, but it's so powerful for people to see that they got nominated, and also for them to be able to nominate others and see their shout out, going out to someone. And whoever wins whoever gets the most nominations wins the core value award trophy. And ours is like this 18-inch tall bronze apple core with all the core values written on the base of the trophy. The trophy sits on your desk. If you work remotely, you get a Zoom backdrop that celebrates you as the core value award winner for the month. Costs nothing, provides huge recognition. If someone doesn't want to be a part of that, they don't have to nominate anyone. I mean, you can't really say, no, I don't want the award. I don't know why anyone would say that. But I think your point is probably more to when you're doing a social event and someone's like, I don't want to join your stupid kickball team, or I don't want to go to this scavenger hunt event that you're doing. No problem. I'm a big believer in all fun should be optional. No one likes forced fun, really, right? Who enjoys forced fun? So don't force people, but put lots of options out there that cover a wide variety. So have some company sports teams. Whatever city you live in North America, there are adult recreational sports leagues out there, just like JAM. Maybe not that, there's so many different organizations that do this. Have a beach volleyball team or a softball team or a soccer team. Have multiple teams depending on the size of your organization. Let your team know we're signing up. So who wants to join the team? It's going to be Monday nights or it's going to be Thursday nights. And if you're a remote team that you work out of a hub and you don't have an office, what a powerful way to see the people you work with one day a week on the playing field, right? Playing a social sport together. So it's a really powerful thing. But not everyone wants to play sports. So what about having a book club? We do book club once every 2 months. What about having a musical band or like a rock band or a choir? I've interviewed some companies for my book that they have that. So you're playing music together. So there's lots of ways to play together that can meet diverse needs. And there are ways to have virtual events, have these lunch and laughs once a month, have an escape room virtually or a game show virtually, have a scavenger hunt virtually. Like there's tons of ways. And I highly encourage, and I'm not just saying this because we do this, hire a group like ours, or like there are loads of event organizers that do this. Get an outside group to do this for you. The reason I say this, too often we dump all of this on our HR or our people and culture team to organize all these fun events, and then they don't get to be part of it themselves, which kind of sucks if they're always organizing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want them crossing over and getting to meet different people from different departments. And so I highly encourage that you outsource the events aspect of when you're doing your monthly socials. And then, so that brings me to your other question, which is who is in charge of all of this? I personally am quite passionate about culture. So I come up with a lot of ideas. However, my head of people and culture, she also helps me, and many people on our team come up with ideas, by the way. Not all the ideas, we do a ton of different fun cultural things at our organization. They're not all my idea. That we hear ideas and we go, oh yeah, that would be great. Let's do that. And as an example, we have a mayor. Every 4 months, you can run for mayor. Whoever's the mayor is in charge of running socials. Right now, our mayors are doing this. We have a co-mayorship right now. Philip, who's on the dev team, and Daniel, who's on our sports ops team. They're co-mayors, and they are having these games every week, and it's a house challenge, internal house challenge. This past week was build the highest card house you could build, make a house of cards. I happened to win, so I got the trophy. It's sitting on my desk right now. It's like so silly. Like my name is written in pen and paper on the side of it's ridiculous, right? But it was fun. I sat on Sunday morning, I sat there and built a card house, and I took a picture of it and submitted it for my Cottingham team, and we won. So this mayorship, the mayorship is in charge of planning socials. They get a budget. Like, we actually spend money. We provide them, let them spend it how they wish. So everyone feels kind of engaged that way. And there's always a different taste of things happening depending on it. It just so happens this mayorship, with one of our developers on the team, they built a website. It probably took Phil like 15 minutes to create this website because he's a developer. And there's like little virtual games that they have on this website. And anyways, so there's lots of fun ways to do it. So although culture sort of lives with me, we engage a lot of different people in having fun. And if it's an organization who doesn't really have fun yet and you don't know how, it's a great idea to get a team of playmakers who you feel will be sort of champions. You really do need to have a few people bought in, but you can start with some really simple things, like just start with a shout out channel in your Microsoft Teams or your Slack. Just get a channel that's all just called shout outs, and start leading by doing some shout outs yourself. So you'll see on our shout out channel 2, 3, 4 shout outs a day. And it's leaders, or it's actually anybody in the organization can shout out anybody else for great work being done, usually around a core value. And what a great way for me to see, I saw one today, which was shouting someone out for this event that we had run. I didn't even know about the event. And I was like, hey, amazing. That's great to see. And I can congratulate the person, which I would never have known about it if I didn't see it in the shout out channel. Again, it costs nothing, but it's a great little way to playfully celebrate people. So there's a lot of different ways of doing it. And it's a helpful, once you start, I think more and more people get bought into it when they see this actually works. Like, we can have some fun here, especially when it's not forced on us, right? When everything's optional.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing in that too is like, know your people, right? Like, know what they like, what they don't like, don't force like your own ideas on them. Maybe they come up with another idea. And if you've got people from different backgrounds and maybe even countries or whatever, that they may come up with something that they relate to, that they think is fun, that somebody else might never have heard of. And so, it's like, know your people, and then having that person, who kind of, encourages it and starts it off. And to your point, I love what you were saying about, starting simple and then building up, because I think if you try it almost like too big and too contrived, then it's like people go, oh, what is this?
Yeah,
and then
exactly. Start small and start with some celebratory recognition. Core value awards is a great way of doing it.
Yeah.
We do a daily huddle that's 7 minutes long. And just being able to sort of having some daily huddles, having some sort of daily shout outs, maybe a core value award. There's just so much there's a lot of power in doing it, and it's sort of celebrating great things within the organization in playful ways. So it's just a nice little starting point, and then layer in some, hey, we're going to do this virtual event, and then we're going to do an in-person scavenger hunt, and we're going to sign up a team for this, and we're going to have a book club. Like, you can layer those on later, like every 3-4 months, introduce something new, but start small and build up to it and see how it goes, for sure. I did, you just mentioned, something about, maybe someone from a different country brings in a new idea. So we have Wednesday is lunch and laugh. We used to have, like, before the pandemic, I think, like, our organization changed drastically after the pandemic. I mean, we were an in-office culture mostly. Like, there were very few people who worked remotely before the pandemic. That's changed a lot. And so we always ate lunch together. That was something, like, since the 90s, we've always stopped, get up from your desk, and go eat lunch together. It was like a family meal. You get to know each other. You have some laughs over lunch. So, but during the pandemic, we were like, okay, well, that we can't do that anymore. So we started having a Wednesday lunch and laugh, and it's 12:30 to 1:00. It's totally optional. Sometimes 5 people are on the call. Sometimes 35 people are on the call. And there's a different person sort of moderates it each week. But one week, we were having this lunch and laugh, and I was chatting, and you're not supposed to talk about work. I guess in this case, I probably broke the rules, because I was talking about cricket. Or one of my teammates who's from India, was like, why don't we offer cricket? And I said, well, I've always wanted to get cricket going, but we've never really been able to get it off the ground. And all of a sudden, I had 4 different teammates. I was actually in the office that day, and there were 4 of them sitting around the lunch table, and they were all from India, and they all grew up playing cricket in their schoolyard. And I was like, how can we, like, was there a game that you played in the schoolyard that we could kind of offer that in our adult leagues? And they're like, yeah, it's called Gully cricket. And so, honestly, like, what a neat idea. We got within 3 days, we had Gully cricket being offered as a sports league in our leagues. I don't know that it's actually gone off yet, but it's a new offering that we have that wouldn't have happened had we not been just sitting around and kind of gabbing together over lunch and getting to know each other. I would never have known how they'd done that, and they wouldn't know that I had been trying, like, that I've been thinking about cricket for years and wishing we could have made something happen. But they were able to share their insights on how we can make this game more appealing to the masses. Because cricket is one of those games that goes on for a really long time, and you need a really big field. But there is a recess schoolyard version that you can play that they sort of enlightened me on, and I was like, well, then let's talk to the operations team and get that offered out there. And so it's happening. We've got it on offer. Anyway, those are the creative little things that pop up when you take time to just have fun and not make it all work all the time.
Yeah.
Even though it was kind of a work related, but it kind of came about not from a work conversation. So
yeah, well, that's where a lot of the ideas come from, right? When you're relaxed and you're just having fun, and it's like, why do most great ideas come in the shower, or you're out walking or running, or you're on the beach or something like that, or hanging out with your friends?
Yeah.
You talk about these leagues. Can you kind of explain how that works? Like, does each company have their own leagues, or are you integrating them? Because you mentioned about our leagues and people participate in them.
So the core of our organization is adult recreational sports leagues. So we would probably have 25, 26 different sports that we offer year round, indoor and outdoor. And we're in 25 different cities in Canada and the US. And so think about beach volleyball, soccer, softball, basketball, flag football, ultimate frisbee. Those are, dodgeball. So you can sign up by yourself. Maybe you've moved to a new city, you don't know anybody, you're like looking to meet people, you maybe don't want to go on Tinder. So you can sign up by yourself, join a beach volleyball league or whatever, and we'll put you on a team with other people who also signed up as individuals. And it's a great way to get out, be active once a week, meet some new people. It's another opportunity is to connect with you maybe just graduated from college and you want to stay connected with your friends. My daughter literally just became a client. I'm so excited. So she just finished at McGill University in Montreal. She got a bunch of her pals together and they've signed up and they're playing beach volleyball one night a week. She told me they haven't won a game yet, but they're having so much fun. They just get together, have some laughs playing together. A lot of teams go out for a drink afterwards. It's just a way to stay connected with old friends. So whether you're signing up by yourself, signing up together, those are all options. Any sport, variety of different skill levels. So that's what I mean by our leagues. But then we also do offer corporations. We have a lot of companies who will sign up a team from their company to play in our leagues, right? So there might be, a law firm that's like, we're gonna sign up for a jam basketball league. Who wants to be on the team? The company's going to pay for it. We're going to have company shirts. So you get some branding out there for your company, and it's optional. Who wants to be on the team? You have to kind of commit. So you've got a roster there, but the company pays for it. So we have a lot of companies that do that, but we also offer private corporate sports leagues and private corporate tournaments, like one day softball tournament or a one day kickball tournament for a company or learn to play. So we'll do learn to play, learn to curl, learn to play ultimate, learn to play beach volleyball, like skill clinics. We do those as sort of these one-off events. And then we have different companies that have us, if they're big enough, that they'll hire us and we'll run the league specific, just, a 6-team soccer league every Wednesday that's just for their company. So we sort of run the gamut. We do it all.
Got it.
Does that
yes.
make sense?
Yes. Well, and that just helps because I'm thinking about, those that are listening are going, okay, like, how do I do this, right? If I have a big company, that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing. But if I have a small company, or maybe it's somebody that's an individual, maybe there's an entrepreneur, and maybe they're a solo entrepreneur right now, and they're like, how do I do this? And
Yeah,
so that's
sign up by
really, really
yourself,
helpful.
meet new people, or if you've got a team of, maybe you're a company with 8 or 10 or 12 people, or maybe you're a company with only 4 or 5 people, join forces with another company with only 4 or 5 people and get a team together. It's a great
Yeah.
way. There's lots of ways to do this. And I'd say the same thing about having a book club. Have a book club. You can be virtual or in person when you have book club. Like we have book club once every 2 months. We choose our book together. I send out a survey with 3 or 4 books. Everyone votes, whatever the majority go with, that's our book for the month. I often will invite the author to join us. So I've actually gone on, spoken at a number of different corporate book clubs as well, which has been really fun, where people have read my book. But I will call the author and say, hey, if you have 10 minutes, can you zoom in and join our book club? It's on this date at this time. That's always really fun and special when we have the author join us. And everyone has read the book. And it's totally optional. You do not have to come to book club, but we usually get 20, 30 people that come. And we discuss ideas from the book. And what's amazing is you hear all these different perspectives. And so it actually pulls out nuggets from the book you didn't even realize, like, because you've heard someone else's perspective. So it's a very powerful 1 hour where you get ideas. Sometimes they're self-help books. Sometimes they're customer service books or business books. Sometimes they're biographies about interesting people. They're always nonfiction, but they're always super engaging conversations that we have. And we have often people are in the boardroom in Toronto. And then we also have a lot of people who just call in and are on the big screen virtually as part of the call. So you don't have to limit yourselves to, well, we're a hybrid organization, or we're fully remote, or we're fully in person. You can do all of these things. There are ways to do all of these things to cross all those, the gaps.
Yeah. Well, I think about also one of my clients, he got into pickleball and he was having so much fun with it. He
I'm
actually
obsessed.
started a league. He's up in Midland, and he started a league. And then his buddy, actually, who I got to know, became a client as well. He does a lot of hockey and tennis and so forth. What was interesting is that there's BNI groups out there, business networking groups, and there's all of these breakfasts and things that you can do, and those can be fun, don't get me wrong, but they can also be serious and boring as well. Been to those. And so when he started playing pickleball and he's out there having fun, he wasn't necessarily prospecting for business, but he was just out there getting to know people. He was getting, and he still is getting, so many clients out of that. And it's like,
amazing.
and then he's like, well, should I join one of these BNIs? And I'm like, I don't think so. I think you should just keep having
Keep
fun
playing
because it's working
pickleball.
for you. Yeah. You
Yeah.
play pickleball. That's what you do.
I'm gonna have
So,
to get his name, because my cottage, I spend my summers up in Midland, so I would love to play pickleball with him. I'll have to get his name when we hang up.
I will do that. I will do that. But that, like, I hadn't even heard of pickleball before he mentioned it, and now I see it everywhere. Everybody's doing it. But it's like, yeah, why not? Why not have fun? Why does it have to be that we have to go to this place? Everybody's got to sit around, do the same thing every week, when you can have some fun and get to know people. That's when you really get to know people and people take an interest. So I love that.
The bonus to that is the Mayo Clinic, that little organization. You've heard of the Mayo Clinic, right? The Mayo Clinic has done studies that prove when we play social sports like pickleball, tennis, soccer, it adds 20% more longevity to our lives than
Amazing.
if we just go to the gym and lift weights. I mean, they're not saying you shouldn't do that. Like, you should do your strength training and get on the treadmill, like go for whatever, get your
Yeah,
cardio. But if you can play some social sports as well, it will add 20% longevity to your life. And
that's
it's
huge.
powerful to
Wow.
get the social connection. It's all about the mental health benefit of connecting through
Yeah,
play. It's really powerful. We should not stop playing. As George Bernard Shaw says, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. So keep
so
playing.
true. That is so
Mm-hmm.
true. You have a special offer for our listeners. Do you want to share with us
Yes.
what that is? Yeah.
Yeah, I have this. It's a playbook PDF. So it's a 10-page document, Nicole, that it's 10 ways to integrate play into the workplace. I'm a big believer that workplace is spelled wrong. It should be spelled WORKPLAYCE, like get play right in that workplace. Anyway, 10 ways to integrate play into the workplace. And inside the playbook PDF, there's an offer that's for 25% off. A Jam sports team or a Jam virtual event or a Jam corporate event. If anyone would like to try out connecting through play with their corporate teams, that's inside the playbook. So the link to get the playbook is www.Kristi Herold, KristiHerold.com/lot, LOT, like leaders of transformation, 25, LOT 25. So that's the link, and they can get the playbook PDF there if they'd like that to give them some ideas.
Awesome. Kristi, this has been such a pleasure. And my wheels are turning, and just like all the ideas. I mean, I read your book, and I do encourage everyone to get a copy of your book. It pays to play. And just as you're talking and we're sharing about this, there's things that are coming up, highlighted, things that I remember now from your book that are coming back. And it's fantastic. So, and by the way, yes, and I love the way in your book it is very simple and clear, and you're like, here are the benefits. I love this. Chapter 1, play improves retention, and then it goes on, play increases engagement, and then you talk about health, energy, creativity, happier customers. Like, it's so clear. And so it's a great resource. And then at the end, you actually have all of these ideas and creative ways to play at work that are all there. So it's like a quick reference guide as well. So plug for your book. It's just fantastic.
Thank
so
you.
yeah.
Thanks so much, Nicole.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I always say, leaders of transformation, take action. Take action on something that you learned here today. You know, maybe it's just like stopping and checking in and saying, when's the last time I had fun at work? When is the last time we did something fun in the workplace? And, you know, where can we start? Right. And so we've got lots of ideas to start. Encourage you to do that. We'd love to hear stories, how this has impacted you and what you're choosing to do and testing out and playing in your workplaces, and or individually, what really piques your interest as well. We'd love to hear it. You can go on leadersoftransformation.com. Of course, all the notes in the show notes, we're going to have all the links so you can connect with Kristi, you can connect with her team and Jam Group and all of that. That's all going to be in the show notes as well. And we just appreciate you being here, and hope you enjoyed this episode and conversation that we had. And we look forward to seeing you next week on another episode of the Leaders of Transformation. Have a great day.